Hey everybody, what's up? Circus here coming at you with this week's Rogue Deck Roundup. I got Kamel with me because he loves Rogue decks and I love Rogue decks and we're gonna Rogue together. It's still this week right now, it's hard to tell what's hot and what's not. So we had the power rankings, we had the top five. I basically just took the next five, basically 6 through 10 or whatever that we're gonna talk about because I really didn't know any other way to do this for right now until we establish a meta. Because there's Desperado, and then there's everybody else fighting for the scraps right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
if you're new to the series, which you probably aren't, but if you are, what we do is we track decks throughout the week in tournaments and see how they finish, and then we assign them points based on that finish, and then we rank them. All right. So if a deck gets a first place finish, it's 6 points. If it's a second place finish, it gets 4 points. A top four is 2 points, and a top eight is a single point. Now the tournaments that we track all have to have like a similar format, so that way we can compare the results. So they need to have rounds of Swiss into a top cut. They need to be a single deck format with a 7 card side where you can side in a skill. And the tournaments this week that met those criteria were 10 of them. Look at that. The Battle Phase series, the Meta series, and then the Draft and Duel World series. So not bad at all.
Yeah, we had a nice sample size this week.
Yeah, very happy with that. So we'll get right into it here. What do you think is going to be number five, number one?
Number five, number one. I'm not sure.
He's looking at the list right now.
No, I'm really not. I don't know.
I
You
squeezed.
just gotta show it.
Here
Let's
we go,
see.
deck list. It is Noble Knights with
All
9 points.
right.
Noble Knights, Infernities. Haven't seen them up there for a
Uh,
while. Cyber Dragons, Witchcrafters, Fire Kings.
I hope we get to talk about onomatopoeia, but it is number 6. But
Yeah, get out of here. No one wants to talk about that.
oh, it's so
Yeah, it's so
unfortunate.
close. So close. All right.
Well, how did it get there? Fire Kings did not win a tournament. I know
Yeah,
they didn't.
yeah, you busted me.
Yeah, I did bust you. You're trying to push an agenda, trying to push the new
I'm an
box.
anti
You
Gaga Ga.
you cut a deal with Konami, and you didn't tell the rest of us under the thing. You took a cut of the new
I
box
did.
sale
Yep.
from the new. God dang it!
All right, let's take a look at Noble Knights. First place with 9 points. It's actually, let's face it, sixth place on the power rankings. Like we were saying in the power rankings, they do really well. I mean, it's a decent deck. It's just it can't get past the top four.
Yeah, and like I'm saying, the really big hot cards that are out right now, every single one of them destroys Noble Knights. If someone is playing Karma Cut because they want to get rid of Desperado, that's the best card against Noble Knights. Someone's playing Cosmic Cyclone because they want to get back or best card against Noble Knights. If someone is getting a little spicy and they want to get in there, they want to play DD Crow, that card just happens to be insanely good against Noble Knights. Just about anything in the meta right now, Noble Knights are very vulnerable against, and that's because they did not get some needed support that we thought that they were going to get in this past mini box, which is very unfortunate. And they just have not moved forward. I think that's what happened. A lot of people felt like, all right, like this build that you see on screen here, the 30 card balance build is kind of as good as things are going to get, or we're just going to have to wait for support. And that did not happen.
I heard there's support cards locked in the DD tower.
In the DD tower.
In the basement. Yep.
In the basement.
Don't climb the tower. You got to go down in the basement. All right.
Oh, they're gonna be mad. Oh gosh.
So we're gonna start getting comments in the video. I tried for a very long time to get into the basement of the tower.
How do you unlock the basement? It is gonna be Reddit threads. Oh god.
Oh yeah, but look at that 101 representation this past week. So a lot of people want this deck to be good. It just you got to win a tournament at least one. Infernity has won a tournament before this week, so if you want some respect, you got to win.
For sure.
Plain and simple. All right. Speaking of Infernity, they came in second place on the Rogue Deck Roundup. They won Battle Phase Friday. That's surprising.
Infernity have surprisingly gotten a big boost in what they what they need to do what they do. It's very strange. I don't know why or why it's just working. Maybe they just have less big threats to go up against. I think we talked about it last week on the Rogue Deck Roundup as well, but Cocytus is just something that they just no longer have to worry about. There is no longer a threat that Infernity cannot reduce to nothing when they
Right.
get going. And now they're a little bit safer until they get going because they can just they can comfortably run more back row. That wasn't the case with the old version of the deck. It used to be super glass cannon. They'd only run things like Hallowed Life Barrier or like something like that. But now these three traps you see, that's really all you need, and then you're going to be able to survive. And Infernities are not necessarily an FTK deck anymore. You can now survive a couple turns off of the synchro monsters that you make and the monsters that you are able to go into if given you see a launcher after your first big pop off turn. So it's a little more survivable past your first big turn, and I think that's why it's succeeding more.
Have you noticed there's one trap in this deck that is starting to see more use than we saw just even a month ago. Can you pick out which one it is, Kamel?
Canada, right?
Canadia's making a comeback like we've predicted over and over and over. Canada, and why is that?
I think that is because there are a lot more versatile summoning methods for level 4, not I should say level 4, but Xyz material monsters. So like level 4 lore monsters basically, just monsters that you're going to use as throwaway for Xyz summons. And Floodgate is not always the best option to get rid of those. And Fiendish Chain is not an option to get rid of those because a lot of those monsters, you special summon them, you lock them down, and they just end up becoming Xyz fodder. That is something that we've seen a lot, even a deck like Infernity making use of a card like Diamond Direwolf for when you are able to Fiendish Chain their Archfiend or something like that.
So make sure to get them Canada, folks, because these cards come and go in the meta, but they're always stable. So
it shuts down a lot right now, for sure.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the next deck, Cyber Dragons. This was supposed to be the next tier 1 deck. You were, what happened? You were the chosen one.
You were the chosen. You're supposed to lead us to balance,
not destroy the meta.
Oh no!
What happened? What happened?
Yeah, Cyber Dragons just the meta shifted away from OTK decks very quickly. I think once Shiranui kind of came up as one of like, hey, control decks are still really really good. Then people really stopped playing OTK decks, and Cyber Dragon was probably one of the best OTK decks, and it didn't matter anymore because the control decks that are in the meta now are just far too effective. I think if you're able to, based on which Cyber Dragon cards your opponent has in the field, if you're able to remove them in a way that doesn't let them use their monsters for fusion material, it's very easy to shut this deck down. For example, just if they don't have access to the fusion spell, karma cutting stuff and sending stuff to the grave when they do only have the fusion spell and no fusion gate. Just pretty easy to shut down Cyber Dragons completely without even going out of your way to side deck, I feel.
I just imagine like an anime moment where Zane is riding on the back of a Cyber Dragon, rampaging Cyber Dragon for game, and all of a sudden he's like yells at his opponent, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "I'm flipping coins. Hang on a second.
I'm flipping coins, man. Come on.
Oh, you lose."
You attack? Boom, boom, boom. All right. 2 of your Cyber Dragons are destroyed. What?
I hate Desperado. I don't even know what to say. No, I guess I don't hate it. It's just so cheesy. The coin flips just kill me.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Witchcrafters. Can you believe it?
Yeah, Witchcrafters, very strange. Honestly, I honestly avoid the deck in my tournament where I don't want to cast it. It has not changed at all, and I feel like it just does not do enough. I feel like the meta went through a point where defeating Witchcrafters was the whole point of the meta, and I don't think that a lot of decks have forgotten about that. I think that's something that they've kind of incorporated in their strategy. Running Fiendish Chain in your deck at 2 or 3 was from Witchcrafters. Running Karma Cut, that was one of the original reasons, and it's still very good against them. Witchcrafters is one of the most vulnerable decks to Karma Cut still, even though they're running 30 cards. And even though they're tier 2 of the tier list, or wherever they were a week ago, they are surely not performing as such. 40 people playing it and getting 2 top 4 finishes. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what to say about the deck. It's not that exciting. This one seems like to synchro a lot. Neg wasn't a big proponent of the synchro version, but this is a synchro version of the deck. So
Mhm.
I'm not really sure which one's the acceptable or optimal deck right now, but
It's crazy you say this is a synchro version. This is probably playing the least amount of Light Sworn cards I've ever seen.
yeah, it's just the one in there, isn't it?
In a
Two.
synchro, yeah,
Yeah.
there's Raiden, Minerva, and 1 charge. That's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
Whatever works. It's such a slow deck, and I just
Yeah.
don't like. I'm gonna plant a veer on the field and just sit here, beat me, you know.
That's it.
Yeah, not a real fun deck. I had a lot of hope for it when it first came out, and then you start playing it, it's like, oh, it's just a really slow control deck. Okay, all right,
Um,
and then next, Kamel obviously is a Fire King hater because he wants Onomatopoeia on here, but we'll talk Fire Kings a little bit since it's new. It's got the Battle and Boxer in there. That makes everybody happy, right? Well, this is like an invoked version of the deck, even.
Yeah, so this is the best performing version of the deck, to be honest. I don't think, forgive me, there may have been a pure version
There is,
there
yeah.
that's performed, but the invoked version is what I've seen that's done very good, using either Destiny Draw or Draw Sense Dark was the version from Battlefield Rising Sun, the top 8. But yeah, it's invoked, baby. That's it.
You got
It's
that many
invoked.
fire monsters, you better be playing Purgatrio.
Honestly, can't tell you what the Fire King cards do. They just destroy their own cards and stuff to activate their
And then
effects,
they
and then
come back
respawn.
from the
And
grave,
they
and
come back for the standby phase, and you destroy them and stuff. It's not that good. I think Invoked really, really carries the deck. A lot of times when we saw this deck being played, they were either Arvada pass or they would just brick straight up. Like they'd set just anything and pass and like break.
well, they didn't really do much worse than Noble Knights, though.
This is true. This is
That's the
true.
thing. You're like, oh, it's not a good
I
deck, and it's like it's only a few points away from Noble Knights.
I mean,
You know,
yeah, that's very true.
that's the sad thing. So I don't know. I might check it out. Is most of the stuff from structure decks,
I'm gonna have to see more on it
structure
definitely.
decks, and then mini box.
Garunix, Garunix the structure deck, Arvada's the mini.
The Nephthys, that's
Barong,
an old card.
yeah, Nephthys is an old card, and I think Yaksha's in the structure deck. Yaksha, Barong,
This might
Barong,
actually be an expensive deck.
maybe, yeah, definitely you're gonna need
Everything's
2 to 3.
spread out. You got Spirit
Definitely,
Karibo in the main box, the first main box. You got Alistair from the DSOD box.
you're definitely gonna need 3 of that structure deck. So
The structure deck. Yep.
yeah,
Stuff from the new mini box. Purgatrio. This is actually way more expensive than I thought.
Trio. Oh my gosh.
This is a whale deck to get 5th place in the Rogue Deck Roundup. Imagine. All right, let's look at overall representation of these decks. Witchcrafters. Everybody playing Witchcrafters, I guess, because they're tier whatever, right? Tier 2.
Yeah, I think that contributed a lot to it, but Witchcrafters, I don't think that they ever showed any proof of being that good. So that's weird, champ.
It's gonna be a few more weeks before we see less and like less rogue decks on this list, because sometimes we have like 8 or 9 at most that are scoring points in tournaments, like during this past meta. Right
Mhm.
now, though, look at this. I mean, it's almost 20 different decks that are scoring points. So
Yeah, so the list will really get narrowed down in a
yeah,
couple
it's
weeks.
gonna
Don't worry.
start to shrink. So top 8 finishes this week. Noble Knights again not scoring a lot of points. Fire Kings. There they are. Most expensive deck in the Rogue deck roundup.
4 points. Looking
Yeah.
forward to seeing how that translates into next week. We said the new box wasn't that good. I'd like people to prove us wrong.
Yeah.
Do some good, Fire Kings.
And then the most victories this week were Infernities, Cyber Dragons, and Onomatopoeia. So
Yep.
there you go. Not too bad. Not actually, it's really not that bad. I mean, we're kind of like poo-pooing the meta a little bit here because Desperado is just kind of ruining everything. We're so close to greatness. You know what I mean? We're so
I think
close.
at the beginning, it's gonna be huge for the new meta decks because people are just discovering them. But given the next couple weeks, I think things will start to mellow out. A lot of people who were trying things for the first time, eventually people will start to branch
Right.
out.
Yeah, and I don't know. There's always the top deck in the meta, but I feel like if Desperado wasn't there, things would be a lot different. We wouldn't have a 35-point lead in the power
Oh yeah,
rankings,
oh yeah.
So maybe some of
We
these
were
other
about to
decks
have a
here.
diverse meta, and then Desperado cleaned that up pretty quickly. It was like, psych.
Nope, not happening. Yeah. So, all right, guys. I hope you like this video. We love doing it because we love rogue decks.
Definitely.
So if you do like it, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, get in our Discord because that's where we hold all these wonderful, wonderful tournaments. We also have a new player help channel where you can get help if you're new to the game. And we have a new player stream on Saturday nights. Come check that out. Kamel's up bright and early on Thursday mornings doing Battle Phase of the Rising Sun. So make sure to check that out.
All right.
All right, we're going to get out of here. I'm Circus. That's Kamel.
Peace out, guys.
All right, we'll see you next time.